Now let me take this idea of how computing will help everyone and talk about one of the big challenges. In the marketplace, innovation of all types, whether it's new medicines or new software, it's very easy for the marketplace to respond solely to the needs of the wealthy consumers and not fully take the needs of the less well-off into account. And so if we think about the voice in the marketplace, the voice of the poorest is actually fairly weak in that sense. And not so much in software, but definitely in medicines, we can see great examples of that. After all, the spending on drugs to deal with things like baldness have been about 10 times as great as the spending on drugs to deal with something like malaria. And yet, in a purely sort of rational sense, I think we'd all say that a disease that kills over 1 million children a year probably deserves a priority over something that's just about male aesthetics. And so, how can we make sure that we're making an extra effort, whether it's in cell phones or banking or software or any of these areas of innovation, that we're putting a little more energy into thinking about the needs of the poorest than we might naturally just by those pure price signals. Well, in fact, Microsoft Research, particularly here in Asia, both in Beijing and a group we have in India as well, have been very innovative in thinking about these challenges. Going and interviewing people, and not just assuming that the computer is the answer to their problems, but trying to think creatively about how things can be done. One of the solutions we came up with actually involves, instead of video on the internet, involves putting video onto DVDs. And so, for example, some of the best teaching courses, mathematics or information about agricultural practices, has been put onto DVDs and then made available. And so, DVD is not quite as high-tech as the internet, and yet, in terms of practicality and having impact, those projects have already proven that they can make a very big difference. And Microsoft has a number of things that are along these lines. The idea of making sure that every kid has a chance to come and use a machine connected to the internet. Well, if it can't be done in their home, then it can be done in a community center or in a library or through a partnership with the government or somebody who does a place that kids can come to. We want to make sure that the best software is there and that everybody has a chance, because digital access is almost becoming like literacy, something that every kid should have an opportunity to have access to. And there's been very good progress on that. Even here in Hong Kong, there's some very neat nonprofit groups that we've teamed up with to make that possible. So I hope you're getting a clear sense from me that I'm quite optimistic about the future. There are some things we have to be careful about, making sure that these technology advances, we understand exactly the impact they're having. But overall, I'd say that whether it's software or energy or agriculture, the promise of science, which so many of you are going to have careers in, the promise of what you'll be able to do during your careers is much greater than ever before, and that's why I'm so optimistic. I know that both Hong Kong and China will play an important part of that, and that's why Microsoft's so committed to making sure we're working in these areas. And even my foundation is now finding great ideas and great examples and making sure those are spread throughout the world in terms of helping the poorest. And so as we unleash your creativity, I'll be very, very excited to see what you can do, and rooting for your great ideas, because I do think with that we can create an even better world. Thank you.